Hello everyone, it's time to dump some news on you, and arguably the funniest possible outcome to the whole Elon Musk Doge saga might actually be playing out behind the scenes.
Maybe.
And yeah, it involves him potentially, maybe, seducing the wife of yet another so-called friend. But before we dip into that personal yet somewhat satisfying drama, we should start with the facts. And the actual news is that Elon Musk is leaving Washington, D.C. and politics behind, at least temporarily, in order to focus on his other companies, while muttering to himself, "My job here is done."
But you didn't do anything.
Well, he actually did do stuff. It was very destructive. But that job happened to be the wholesale destruction of vital government agencies and services.
Which is bad.
Yeah. Helping to tank President Donald Trump's approval rating.
Good.
Siphoning off a massive amount of intimate data from on United States citizens.
Bad.
Destroying whatever brand loyalty that eco-conscious people had towards his electric car company.
Good.
Shaking off previously announced investigations into his companies.
Bad.
Leaving the administration on increasingly bad terms with both the president and members of the cabinet.
Good.
And allegedly cucking Stephen Miller by stealing his wife from him.
I mean, funny if true. I have my doubts, though.
So do I. But still, what a stupid, tragic, awful legacy that he's left behind in his relatively short time in government. A position he was not elected to, nor one that even existed until he pumped nearly $300 million into the campaigns of Trump and other Republican politicians.
His legacy now consists of firing tens of thousands of federal employees, dismantling our country's humanitarian efforts around the world, basically stealing a bunch of data that will almost certainly be exploited for financial gain and punitive measures somewhere down the line, destroying entire agencies that focus on our most vulnerable citizens, halting vital research projects, and allowing a bunch of broccoli-headed, zin-munching teenagers to run rampant with little to no oversight. And for what?
Yeah.
His previous estimates of cost-cutting and savings were alleged to be in the trillions of dollars. And we all watched as that number was constantly whittled down over time, from allegedly saving the country $2 trillion worth of what he describes as waste, down to $1 trillion, down to a couple $100 billion, all the way down to an alleged $150 billion. And even that number is almost certainly a gross overestimation.
Yeah.
The end result is a weaker country, multiple federal lawsuits that attempted to or were successful in halting his actions, and plenty of examples where they didn't find any fraud at all, like in the case of Social Security.
What's up with all these 120-year-old people? Oh, you mean the children of people who have died and need the assistance to live on? And in case it wasn't clear, this was never about the deficit. It mainly appeared to be an attack on parts of the government that had been critical of Musk and his companies. Because if this administration actually gave a shit about the deficit, they would simply tax the wealthiest members of this country what they actually owe. It is a very simple plan that would do a lot more than cutting vital services.
Yeah, but I don't want it. Those are my friends.
Yeah, instead, a massive tax cut to the rich just passed the House and is now waiting for approval in the Senate. A bill that will add trillions to the deficit. And although Musk has been critical of that bill in recent days, he was already on his way out, and he might just be looking to save face. In fact, if his stance on the spending bill is legitimate, the quotes about him in recent articles make him appear like a fucking idiot who had no idea that he was getting played by Trump and used as a fall guy to carry out actions that were both wildly unpopular and potentially illegal.
Yeah, he's acting all surprised Pikachu about, like, credits for green energy being taken away. Like, buddy, he was saying he was going to do it.
Yeah,
that was the plan all along.
You were the fall guy. You were the one that was supposed to take all the attention away, and now you've been cast aside because you're not useful anymore. Also, he might have fucked Stephen Miller's wife. Maybe.
Possibly, allegedly.
But with more on Musk's exit and what appears to be his rocky relationships with Trump and the administration, here's the New York Times.
Mr. Musk, who once called himself the president's first buddy, is now operating with some distance from Mr. Trump, as he says he is ending his government work to spend more time on his companies. Mr. Musk remains on good terms with Mr. Trump, according to White House officials. But he has also made it clear that he is disillusioned with Washington and frustrated with the obstacles he encountered as he upended the federal bureaucracy, raising questions about the strength of the alliance between the president and the world's richest man. In a post on X, his social media site, on Wednesday night, he officially confirmed for the first time that his stint as a government employee was coming to an end, and thanked Mr. Trump for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending. Mr. Musk has said in recent days that he spent too much time focused on politics and has lamented the reputational damage he and his companies have suffered because of his work in the Trump administration. He also took a swipe at Mr. Trump's allies in Congress, telling CBS News that he was disappointed by the domestic policy bill that the president championed and the House passed last week. I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decreases it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing, he said.
An interview with Musk that he did with the Washington Post delved further into his feelings towards the current administration, admitting that he simply became, quote, DC's whipping boy.
Okay.
Yeah, dickhead. In the most basic and immediate terms, you are responsible for thousands upon thousands of people losing their careers and then being left with nothing. Actually, less than nothing, because your team also dismantled resources that those folks could have used to help themselves after losing those jobs.
That was waste.
And you took joy in doing it. You literally danced around on stage with a chainsaw. Everybody remembers.
Yeah, and you were goofy as hell doing it.
Uh-huh. Here's some quotes from that interview where he tries and fails to garner any shred of sympathy. He said repercussions over Doge cuts had been severe. Doge is just becoming the whipping boy for everything, he said. So, something bad would happen anywhere, and we would get blamed for it, even if we had nothing to do with it. He also expressed dismay over the reputational hit his companies took. People were burning Teslas. Why would you do that? That's really uncool. God. And after several months grappling with Congress, Democrats, and entrenched interests in the Capitol, he was eager, he said, to return to his many other ventures, especially SpaceX, since the last 2 Starship test flights ended up with the spacecraft exploding.
Yeah, which, I don't know. The first few times this happened and they said, well, this was always a high possibility, but we learned a lot. I was like, maybe that's true. I don't know. But they haven't launched one of these fucking things without an explosion in what feels like years.
Yeah,
I'm starting to think maybe this isn't normal.
The most recent, and he had some not so kind words about the NASA Artemis project too, which is supposed to go back to the moon, because he's, still gung-ho on the Mars.
No, they should use my exploding rocket that doesn't fucking work.
Well, the most recent one, the rocket exploded, but the Starship kind of just spun out of control. So,
partial success.
There you go.
No, I will not personally be getting in one of these things anytime soon.
Absolutely not.
Fucking not.
No.
Anyway, while we're thrilled that Elon Musk won't have as big of a presence in DC anymore, that doesn't mean he hasn't caused damage to the country. And it doesn't mean that Doge won't continue to dismantle vital programs that it deems inefficient. He's just taking a step out of the limelight, and no one should memory hold the past 5 months just because he's going to focus on his companies.
Mm-hmm.
Driving a Tesla is still rightfully seen as supporting this administration. And driving a Cybertruck definitely means you're a total piece of shit.
Yeah.
You're just a piece of shit with a financial albatross around your neck, and you deserve to be laughed at.
Yes, mockery is coming your way, and it will continue.
But while we are on this topic, we should probably mention those rumors.
Rumor
has it.
Nasty rumors. Rumor has it.
Rumor has it that you're fucking Stephen Miller's wife.
And it couldn't have happened to a better guy.
I don't believe this, but yeah, there are.
It's still fun.
There are rumors that seem to have materialized out of thin air.
Well, she is leaving DC to go work for Musk directly.
That is funny.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, they're saying that Elon Musk appears to be taking Stephen Miller's wife with him on his way out the door as his parting gift.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I don't know. For those who are blissfully unaware, Stephen Miller is arguably the most evil and unlikable person that has come to power under Trump. It's a tight race.
Yeah.
But
He's
he
up
is
there.
Truly repugnant.
Yes.
Yeah, he is currently the White House chief of staff. He has downright extremist views. He's been compared to Hitler's minister of propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, despite being Jewish himself, because he targets immigrants and brown people.
Yeah.
Stephen Miller is such a piece of shit that even members of his own family have come out against him because he's from Santa Monica.
Yeah.
He is the black sheep of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very weird. He sucks. He's a terrible person. He's a fucking racist. A piece of shit. Legitimate proof that hate really ages you, considering he is younger than either of us.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's at least somewhat satisfying to hear rumors circulating that Elon may have cucked Stephen Miller and stolen his wife. Which, if that's true, she's absolutely going to be pregnant very soon.
Yeah, I mean,
possibly already pregnant.
These are rumors. These are just rumors. But Miller's wife is officially leaving her job in D.C. To join one of Musk's companies. And Miller is one of the main members of the administration that has been very publicly pissed off about Elon's recent comments regarding Trump's big, beautiful bullshit bill. From the same New York Times article that we quoted earlier, when asked by reporters about Mr. Musk's criticisms on Wednesday, Mr. Trump declined to respond directly. However, Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, shot back at Mr. Musk on social media without naming it. And as for the rumors about his wife, Katie Miller, well, I mean, they seemed perfect for each other. She
Peas in a pod.
She worked in the previous Trump administration as a spokesperson for DHS and advocated for separating children from their parents at the border, which was another Stephen Miller special. And the two got together and married in 2020 at a Trump hotel in D.C. Trashy. Now, cut to earlier this year, and Trump put her on the Doge advisory board where she would end up working alongside Mr. Musk.
Spending a lot of hours together.
And look, just based on Elon Musk's track record alone, with no other rumor mill bullshit, he has a track record when it comes to working with women in high positions at his companies or alongside him. And that track record is either that he hooks up with them the old-fashioned way, or he offers them some of his sperm so that they can have his babies.
Yeah, he carries around at least 5 vials at a time.
He's always ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could say, like, oh, Elon is, how could anyone be attracted to him? And to that I reply, we're talking about a woman who chose to marry Stephen Miller.
That's right.
Her standards are incomprehensible for the rest of us.
Not only-
you just have to believe.
Not only married Stephen Miller, had 3 kids with him, and I believe she had twins, and while she was pregnant with twins, they got COVID like multiple times.
Yeah. So her brain don't work too good either.
Yeah. And we know, it's fucking gross to think about Elon doing this, but that's his thing, and it is well documented.
He is he's a breeder.
Yeah.
Anyways, looks like she's very eager to continue working alongside Musk, even though Musk's public statements are running counter to her husband and causing feuds between these two men.
Trouble in paradise.
Vying for her heart.
You have to, you hate to see it. Trouble in paradise. Wow.
Here's CNN with arguably the only confirmed news about any of this. Katie Miller, a top advisor and spokesperson for the Department of Government Efficiency at the White House, has left her position and is now working with Elon Musk, according to 3 sources familiar with the matter. Miller is working full-time for Musk, one of the sources said. Another said she has been helping arrange Musk's interviews that are unrelated to his time in government. This week, Musk has given interviews to the Washington Post, CBS News, and Ars Technica connected to SpaceX's Starship launch. Miller, who is married to Deputy White House Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, did not respond to requests for comments sent to her White House email, which still appears to be functioning.
Though, obviously, outside of the fact that she is heading to work for Musk full time.
Well, does that mean, like, it sounds like can she be in D.C.? She might have to move to Texas.
Yeah. Might have to go down to Starbase. I don't know. This, like with everything else, these executives who demand that people come into the office are always pretty open to the idea of their friends still working remote.
Work from home for me, but not for thee.
Yeah. So the rest of the conversation online, it just consists of rumors, but it couldn't all be happening to a better group of people. And she's been tweeting a lot about Musk and has even started mimicking Musk's own brand of toxicity, replying to a tweet from Governor Tim Walz that was critical of Musk by tagging an account using a word that we refuse to say.
Oh, I remember this.
Though this is like very recent.
Yeah.
Now, just for kicks, though, wouldn't it be something? Wouldn't it just be something if Musk stole Stephen Miller's wife and then Stephen Miller, who hates immigrants and has been vocally critical of Musk in recent days, got Musk kicked out of the country? Now, for clarification, we hate Stephen Miller and his stance on immigration, as well as his views on literally everything else. He is a monster, and deportation shouldn't be a threat against anyone who's here in this country trying to build a better life for themselves. But watching them publicly fight would be, at the very least, entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want anybody to be deported, but if we're deporting people, can we at least deport someone that sucks?
Yeah, Elon Musk, get him out. I guess we'll find out in a few months when she's either pregnant or riding a horse or both. Those are the consolation prizes, baby.
Yeah.
It's either the horse or the children.
You either get the horse or you get the sir.
Please name this next kid Grok. Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of powerful people getting very angry People are finally starting to chip away at Trump's ego, and this latest accusation seems to be successfully pissing him off because it's fucking accurate, as it's completely true. It describes a pattern you can all observe easily.
Yes.
By just looking at some graphs.
Look at this graph.
Apparently, Wall Street traders have come up with a little acronym for Trump's trade policy. It's called TACO. Delicious. But it stands for Trump Always Chickens Out. And they've been adjusting their investments accordingly as the president goes back and forth with his outrageous tariffs and general chaos. By the way, update on the legality of those tariffs in a second, but on Thursday of this week, one reporter who brought the term taco to Trump's attention got quite an earful from the president. He did not like that.
No.
Here's The Guardian. Investors like narratives to explain the financial world, and they appear to have seized on this one. Whenever Donald Trump faces a market backlash, he will back down. It would be fair to say the U.S. president did not take kindly to the suggestion that he was being a chicken.
They should start doing that at the press. Anytime he starts saying something about like having to back down on one of his policies,
What did you call me?
he has the same like fragile ego that Marty McFly learned to control in the first Back to the Future. Actually, he didn't really. It's kind of a sticking point.
In the third one, they call him Yellow, and he's like, "What'd you call me?"
Yeah, they got to call him a different thing with each era. But yeah, Trump is much like Marty McFly in that way.
He's a chicken.
Yeah,
So he was did not take kindly to the suggestion that he was being a chicken when asked by a reporter at the White House about the term that is gaining traction on Wall Street. Oh, isn't that nice? I chicken out. I've never heard that. Trump mused on Wednesday in response to the reporter's question on the so-called taco trade. He then launched into extended comments on how high the tariffs he imposed on China were and how he had helped China by cutting them. But don't ever say what you said, he added to the reporter. That's a nasty question. Apparently riled, he later returned to the theme, insisting that he was no chicken and that often people accused him of being too tough, actually.
I love the idea that he went off on some separate tangent or a completely different topic, and then it bugged him so bad that he said, and by the way, I want to make it clear, I am no chicken.
But yeah, it's basically, it's been great for the options market, as people have seen.
Because it's been somewhat predictable.
There's a pretty predictable pattern where whenever these tariffs are put in place, it kills the market. So
when he ultimately reverses.
So you sell and then you buy options because it will pop back up within a month.
Now, the unfortunate end game here for calling specifically Trump a chicken is that he will end the world. He will press that big red button.
I would be careful about calling him that.
The article continues, but recurrent retreats by Trump have become the basis for stock markets rebounding after falls, even as the U.S. president has raised tariffs to their highest level in more than a century. The S&P 500, the U.S. stock market benchmark, has gained about 1% during 2025, despite a deep slump in April as Trump announced Liberation Day tariffs on trade with most countries in the world. The stock market rise appears to have been aided by the taco trade narrative. That market turmoil will correct the president's course and allow companies to keep on making strong profits.
This is still it's stupid because there's still pretty big tariffs in place.
Yeah, no, this is crushing small businesses and will continue to crush them for the rest of the year.
Yeah, the market, I barely open up my stocks app this entire year.
Smart.
But currently it's on a pretty big upswing over the past month, and I'm like, where is all this hopium coming from? This is just hoping that they're acting like when he repeals the tariffs, he's repealing all of them when he's actually not, and it's still causing big fucking problems with imports.
But again, if you zoom out, it's like the market has gone back to a point that it fucking started at the beginning of the year when he tanked it. So anyways, as for those tariffs, it has been an extremely confusing and ultimately disappointing week on that front. And at this point, it's almost not even worth talking about because everything keeps changing as courts attempt to figure out whether or not what he's doing is even legal. If we had filmed last night, all of the information would have been inaccurate because it changes on a whim. Now, this is, of course, all while the damage to our country's reputation as a reliable trade partner seems increasingly irredeemable.
Can't trust us.
Now, earlier in the week, a U.S. trade court blocked most of those tariffs by pointing out the obvious. He enacted the tariffs without congressional approval. From Reuters.
The Court of International Trade said the U.S. Constitution gives Congress exclusive authority to regulate commerce with other countries that is not overridden by the president's emergency powers to safeguard the U.S. economy. Financial markets cheered the ruling. The U.S. dollar rallied following the court's order, surging against currencies such as the euro, yen, and the Swiss franc in particular. Wall Street futures rose, and equities across Asia also jumped. The judge has also ordered the Trump administration to issue new orders reflecting the permanent injunction within 10 days. The Trump administration minutes later filed a notice of appeal and questioned the authority of the court. Here we go again.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know it, despite everything and everyone feeling a tiny little bit of positivity for a couple hours, well, an appeals court went ahead and reinstated those fucking tariffs. Snip, snap, snip, snap, all while our country wonders whether or not our economy can handle it.
Snip, snap! Snip, snap! God!
I'm in so much pain.
Yes. Trump just runs over and smashes the tiny flat screen TV on his wall. It's an Office reference. Ask your parents, the millennials.
Yeah.
In their updated reporting, however, Reuters adds that the United States Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit in Washington said it was pausing the lower court's ruling to consider the government's appeal and ordered the plaintiffs in the cases to respond by June 5th and the administration by June 9th. Financial markets, which have whipsawed wildly in response to every twist and turn in Trump's chaotic trade war, had reacted with cautious optimism to the trade court ruling. Though gains in stocks on Thursday were largely limited by expectations that the court's ruling faced a potentially lengthy appeals process. Indeed, analysts said broad uncertainty remained regarding the future of Trump's tariffs, which have cost companies more than $34 billion in lost sales and higher costs, according to a Reuters analysis. Some sector-specific tariffs, such as those on imports of steel, aluminum, and automobiles, were imposed by Trump under separate authorities on national security grounds and were unaffected by the ruling. Again, all of these are on flimsy ground, but...
Yeah. Laws aren't real, governments aren't real, money isn't real.
Nothing seems to be real anymore.
But yeah, it's really hard for us nobodies to care about this right now because a lot of the damage has already been done, and we'll be feeling the sting of the initial Liberation Day tariffs for the foreseeable future.
We don't even know if Spirit Halloween's going to be around this year.
I know, that's the real depression indicator right there.
That's the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
Because not only will that deprive millions of hardworking Americans their beautiful Halloween costumes and Nick Lutzko a potential residual check, it also keeps all of that commercial property unused.
Spirit Halloween is the business that comes in when someone else goes out of business.
Yeah.
If Spirit Halloween goes out of business, we're fucked. There's going to be a domino effect that ends with the apocalypse.
This is like accidentally wiping out a bunch of honeybees. It's going to affect everything.
Yeah, ripple effects.
Yeah. They were pollinating those commercial real estate things.
But yeah, it's at least somewhat comforting to know that legal experts and judges who haven't been bought and paid for by the Trump administration are attempting to do something.
Yeah.
But before we get into the break, let's cheer everyone up with Dan BoNGiNo CrYiNg. Dan BoNGiNo crying on Fox News about his new job in the Trump administration and how it's ruining his life, which used to simply consist of yelling about libs on the radio. A much easier job than deputy director of the FBI under Kash Patel. Seen here, sitting like a normal person.
There he is, Kash Patel.
That's my FBI director, my little tiny FBI director.
It is. I had to cram that photo in here somehow because it is just so funny. And you know that it bothers the shit out of him.
He looks so small.
Like
even Brett Baer looks small in his chair, but Kash Patel looks like a child.
Yeah, he looks like he's sitting in a high chair.
Bring me my juice. I need my juice.
And also it really doesn't, all politics aside, it doesn't make me feel comfortable that the top cop in the country always looks terrified and is a tiny little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Dan BoNGiNo, though. He seems miserable, and that's great. Here you go.
I gave up everything for this. I mean, you know, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this, and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Kash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7 at night. You know, I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day in D.C. by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard. I mean, we love each other, and it's hard to be apart.
Look, you asked for it, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. You took the job. You wanted it.
Yeah.
And now you're stuck in your own little prison. Enjoy it. And we do have more news and updates to previous stories for you in just a second. But first, we're going to take a break and thank today's sponsor for keeping us fueled while we're working on these videos for you. We're talking about Huel. Now, if you're constantly on the move or just tired of skipping meals, Huel, spelled H-U-E-L, has you covered. Their Black Edition Ready to Drink is a total game changer. It's a complete meal in one bottle with 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, high fiber, low sugar, so that you feel full, focused, and ready for your day. No prep, no cleanup, just grab and go. Huel's already sold over 500 million meals around the world, and now it's your turn to try it. New customers get 15% off plus a free gift at Huel.com when you use our code NEWSDUMP. So don't miss out. Try it today.
Now, it's obviously no secret that our news diet is very, very unhealthy. But thankfully, that doesn't mean our actual diet has to be. When we're up early writing the show or up late editing it, it's easy to forget to eat. And that used to mean eating a bunch of unhealthy crap. But thanks to Huel, we can do our jobs full, energized, and focused without spending any time even thinking about what we're going to put into our little tiny bellies. It's a perfectly balanced meal that saves time and effort so we can focus on what really matters, reporting the news, which we will never apologize for. Designed by experts to provide all the nutrients your body needs from a meal, Huel takes the guesswork and time out of healthy eating. No prep, no cooking. They taste so good. Huel shakes actually taste like a milkshake, and they come in delicious chocolate or vanilla. Bonus is they're low in sugar, and they got some new flavors that are pretty darn good, too.
Yeah, while you're watching this, I am almost certainly drinking a Huel from my stack that I keep right next to my desk while I edit late into the night. And lastly, Huel is incredibly affordable. With high-protein meals less than $5, it's a budget-friendly option that we are genuinely excited about. And, of course, our personal favorite is the Black Edition Ready to Drink. It's got that whopping 35 grams of protein, all those vitamins and minerals in one handy bottle. So start saving time and money without compromising your nutrition today with this exclusive offer for new customers of 15% off plus a free gift using our exclusive code NEWSDUMP at Huel.com. That is 15% off plus a free gift for new customers using our code NEWSDUMP at Huel.com. Please see our description for the terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition bottled.
All right. Back into the news now, and we have a very big update to a very fucked up story that we started covering on our last episode. So if you need the full context, you're going to have to go back and watch that video real quick if you missed it. But the summary is an Italian tourist who had a substantial amount of Bitcoin in his Bitcoin wallet was kidnapped and tortured by a bunch of crypto psychos who basically played out their sick fantasies on this guy after watching a few too many movies. They tied him up, beat him, shocked him with electric wires, and apparently hung him over a 5th-story balcony. And like you said in the last episode, you kind of got to hand it to the Italian guy because when faced with torture and potential death, he still refused to hand over the passwords to his wallet.
Yeah.
Though
wallet inspectors hate to see him coming.
Yeah, it also might be true that he either didn't know the password or the keys or the phrases necessary to access it. Maybe he really wanted to just tell them and get it over with, but he couldn't.
I wish I could, believe me. But I got it written down on a Post-it note.
Yeah, because, I don't know. If I'm one of these, I would never be this type of person, but if I'm the type of person that hold a bunch of fucking Bitcoin, I'm not walking around. I'm keeping that piece of paper in a safety deposit box in a bank vault.
Yeah, you would assume that it would be stored on a cold wallet at a bank vault or something.
Yeah.
So
I'm not even going to know the answer to these questions.
No idea.
Because why the fuck am I accessing that money on a regular basis anyway?
This story, it already has a lot of twists and turns, and we're about to get into one of the biggest twists and turns in it. But what would be crazy is if this guy is connected at all with the fucking Italian mafia.
Yeah, because
they definitely still have a presence in New York City. And
hey, it's been a pretty boring couple of decades, but hey,
we're back.
They do what they do to one paisan, they do to all of us. All right.
Yeah.
These Bitcoin bros. Hey, what happened to working hard?
Yeah.
What happened to setting up a strip club? Opening a deli where you cut up dead bodies in the back.
Or making a cannoli shop where you do all your business out in the open in the back.
Yeah. Anyway, either way, the Italian, eventually escaped and flagged someone down. And as of Wednesday, The police had arrested 3 people and charged them with kidnapping and assault, among other charges. But the story gets even weirder because now disgraced New York City Mayor Eric Adams is tangentially involved after investigations were launched into 2 detectives who were working at the house where the torture took place. And one of those detectives was part of Eric Adams' protection detail.
Only in New York,
Hey,
baby.
it's a small town. They can get
Greatest city on earth. I'm walking here. This is
Yeah.
a New York fucking crime if I've ever seen one.
I mean,
and it involves the mayor's office, the NYPD, cryptocurrency, Italians, millennials who are torturing people.
Yeah.
Netflix is already probably greenlighting millions of dollars for this. Like, there's no shot in hell that this isn't being turned into something.
But with more on this, here's the New York Times. The New York Police Department is investigating 2 detectives who provided security at a luxurious Manhattan townhouse where 2 cryptocurrency investors are accused of torturing a man for 3 weeks, according to 2 city officials with knowledge of the matter. One of the detectives, Roberto Cordero, who has also served for years on Mayor Eric Adams' security detail, picked up the victim from the airport on May 6th and brought him back to the townhouse, where he was held captive until his escape last week, the officials said.
So this guy, I mean, just by being involved, even if he wasn't directly involved in the torture, kind of did the kidnapping.
Yeah,
Not kind of, he did.
he did. Whether he knew it or not, or partially, he did the kidnapping.
Yeah. It continues. Detective Cordero and the other detective, Raymond J. Lowe, who investigates narcotic cases in Manhattan, were placed on modified duty on Wednesday, according to an internal document and officials who were not authorized to speak because of the sensitivity of the investigation. It is unclear whether the detectives were employed directly or whether they had been working for a private security company. Officers are not permitted to work for security firms without police department approval, according to the department's patrol guide. It was also unclear whether the men were present during the crime prosecutors say occurred there. A 20-year veteran, Detective Cordero has served on the Executive Protection Unit, the mayor's security detail, since December 2021, according to records from the police and the Civilian Complaint Review Board, an independent oversight agency. And yeah, you assumed correctly. Both of these cops have had complaints lobbied against them during their decades-long career as NYPD officers.
What? No. Detective Cordero has been the subject of several complaints accusing him of abusing his authority and using physical force. In one complaint from 2014, a man accused Detective Cordero and 7 other officers of beating him, strip searching him, and taking his money. The case was settled in 2016. Detective Lowe has been named in 9 complaints dating back to 2008, including one that accuses him of making a false official statement and using a chokehold, according to complaint board records. And, wow, okay, with all this new information, our outlandish premonition that the people involved in this crypto torture case could eventually be pardoned by Trump just became a whole hell of a lot more likely, considering Mayor Eric Adams recently had a DOJ investigation against him dropped by the Trump administration. They're good boys. They didn't know what they were doing.
I am sorry for putting that out into the world.
You manifested it.
Yeah, just like
You put it on your vision board.
Just like it is inevitable that an orca is going to eat a tourist, it is seeming more inevitable that this will eventually just go away.
That's why I don't go in the ocean and I don't go to New York.
Stay away from New York City. No, it's actually, I hear it's very lovely right now with the congestion pricing, although Trump is trying to get rid of that, even though he, again, doesn't have the authority to do so. But that
It is really funny because like all the opinion polling of like people who actually live in Manhattan
and the businesses
view
there.
it overwhelmingly positive. It's only viewed negatively by people who live in New Jersey and Staten Island and places like that.
Yeah.
So
And
I don't know.
it also is kind of funny that Trump, I guess, thought that he had reversed the policy and did an entire victory lap on it. And then that just never happened.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
welcome. Long live the king of New
they
York.
might have just told him like, "Oh, okay. Oh, geez, you got us. We're shutting it down." And
Yeah,
then just
he
got, like,
just forgot about
Yeah,
it.
he's an idiot.
Now, speaking of pardons, though, for whatever reason, Trump has been on a pardon spree this week. And we already covered some of the most egregious pardons in our previous episode. But in just the past few days, Trump has pardoned that guy who stole $10 million from nursing home employees and committed tax fraud. He pardoned that sheriff who accepted bribes. He pardoned reality TV stars Todd and Julie Chrisley after they were convicted of fraud and tax evasion. And per Axios, he's now commuted the sentence of Gangster Disciples co-founder Larry Hoover and pardoned Republican and former Representative Michael Grimm, who was convicted for aiding in preparing a false tax return, a source confirmed on Background Wednesday. The president also granted clemency to convicted former Connecticut Governor John Rowland and rapper NBA YoungBoy, whose legal name is Kentrell Gull.
Oh, he's really handing them out.
Yeah,
The Diddy pardon is seeming more and more likely.
Yeah, that seems like an inevitability as well. And everyone seems to be pointing out, I thought this was like, I don't know, maybe this was happening. We just didn't notice it before as much because they didn't come in such great numbers. But no, everyone's pointing out that like this always happens at the end of the term.
Yeah,
it's
not something you do like 6 months in.
It's very odd. And in case this wasn't all obvious enough, they add that Ed Martin, who Trump originally nominated to be DC's top prosecutor but is now serving as Trump's pardon attorney, posted in a thread about former Virginia Sheriff Scott Jenkins' pardon, "No MAGA left behind." He admitted, won't someone do something? Like this is just blatant on its face.
We're just pardoning people that say nice things about us.
Yeah. And look, we know this is all a lot to take in, and there seems to be very little hope in the world when faced with all this corruption. But there are still plenty of really good people out there. And if you need to find a place with like-minded folks who don't put up with this kind of shit, look no further than your local punk and hardcore scene. I was just talking with a few friends recently about how punk and hardcore basically saved me from what could have been a pretty conservative life based on how my parents raised me and their own beliefs. But we got another great example of the punk community standing up directly against fascism and Nazis recently when an attendee at the Punk Rock Bowling Festival in Las Vegas thought that he'd be able to just walk in, no problem, wearing an actual fucking Nazi shirt with SS logos all over it.
Actually, it was for a motorcycle club.
Shut up. Shut up.
Like,
you knew what you were doing.
Buddy, you know what SS written with the jagged lines means. Shut the fuck up. You knew exactly what you were doing.
He thought he'd get away with it scot-free, but yeah.
Yeah, so he was instead served a serious dose of reality when the crowd noticed his shirt, ganged up on him, shoved his ass to the ground, and kicked his ass out of the festival. And people were like, why didn't they beat his ass? And it's like,
okay,
you do that, and then like the cops fucking show up and it turns into a thing. They did this exactly the right way with like the perfect amount of force. Yeah. Where it's just like, you want to get this guy out of here.
Mm-hmm. You want to make him embarrassed to be doing what he was doing.
You don't want to catch a fucking case.
No, you want to shame these people as legally as humanly possible. But yes, it is very satisfying to see a bunch of punk rockers turn on this guy.
Yeah, and it's also like, the guy seems genuinely like shocked that he's getting pushback because like, it's this thing with MAGA people in particular. They have convinced themselves that liberals are all like limp-wristed panty waists. And a similar thing happened on TikTok like this week where some dude was like, I'll fucking fight any liberal. And then a bunch of people like stitched and they're like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And he deactivated his account within like 6 hours.
Yes. There was another guy that was at a town hall sitting there and just ruining the entire town hall wearing a MAGA shirt. And then everyone just started leaving. They're like, well, I don't want to be around this fucking guy. He might actually be crazy. And then he pushed a security guard and, well, he got dealt with. So they have this like false sense of security because of Trump being president, as we saw during the last administration.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a license to be an antisocial piece of shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been showing parts of the video, but links are down below because for some reason, even though the dude is literally wearing an SS shirt, this would still be considered violence by YouTube.
Yeah, so anyways, great to see and very satisfying. But before we let you go today, if you want something new to watch, we'd also like to give a shout out to our friend Jordan, who just relaunched his YouTube channel. He's doing great videos over there, including a recent one about Nathan Fielder and the most recent season of The Rehearsal, which is a work of art. It's a work of art. It's insanity. The finale is the craziest thing that you'll ever see on television, I think. I don't know what can top it. And say it, Elliot, it's not television.
It's not TV. It's HBO.
That's right. We will link to his video in the description. But Nathan Fielder like goes on CNN. It's a very funny interview. But you could also search for The Insurgents in the search bar above. But we all know how hard it is to get a foothold on YouTube these days. So when you're done liking and commenting on our video, head over to his channel and subscribe if you're into it. We know that he'd appreciate it.
Otherwise, we have 2 videos for you.
Is Elliot seeing that milk video on the plane? It has ruined the word 2 for the rest of
Well,
life.
they keep putting the number 2 in all these news stories.
2 glasses of milk, please. 2 glasses of milk, please.
We don't have milk, sir.
Oh, just
Just have water, juices.
all right, Diet Coke.
Yeah, we have Diet Coke.
I'll do one of those.
Just one of those.
Yeah.
It's $4.
Forget it.
2 videos for you to watch. They're popping up over there. But again, before you do any of that, we have one more simple request. The YouTube gods have answered. The metal hands for the members of the channel are back. We even made a lower price tier for membership that you can join.
You cheapskates.
It's outrageously cheap.
Yeah.
We know that sponsorships are drying up a bit because of the economic climate. So if you can spare $3 or $5 a month for our videos, we'd really appreciate it because it adds up, and we hope that we're providing at least that much in value in our videos.
What, you get $3 of value after a month of videos? Come on. Don't make me beg. It's embarrassing. So if you're feeling frisky, hit that join button, support the show. But as always, leaving a like or a comment is also really very cool. Thanks for your consistent support, even when the news is bad. Videos are up there now. Check them out, and we will be back with a new episode of Weekly Weird News.
Bye.